They sold it as a perfect fairy tale, but what if the biggest twist was hiding in plain sight all along? What if the story we were fed was never the real story at all?
Scandal comes as no surprise. Speculation about the children has been simmering for years. This crisis won't die down until the irrefutable truth comes out.
Silence everybody and just produce a DNA sample.
They called her a modern Cinderella, but something about Meghan Markle's rise never quite settled right. It looked flawless, polished, almost too perfect. And that's exactly where the suspicion begins. Because perfection doesn't just happen, it's built, shaped, controlled. And Meghan didn't just step into the spotlight, she dominated it. Every move, every word, every carefully framed moment turned into headlines that refused to fade. From Hollywood ambition to royal rebellion, the narrative didn't evolve naturally, it exploded. Loud, strategic, impossible to ignore.
I'm going to quote Tom Bauer by saying, he said, look, we all laughed at Samantha and she was right. And everything she said has come true. Paying multi-million-dollar PR firms to tell your story the way you controlled it, the way you wanted it told, while you also disparaged and silenced others.
Meghan is using everything for publicity and not really truly there. We know how she treats her family.
And right at the center of it all, Meghan stood like a master strategist, balancing vulnerability with visibility, emotion with precision. Every appearance felt timed, every expression deliberate. Even critics admit it's sharp, too sharp, because behind that composed image, another voice was waiting, watching, building. Samantha Markle, the sister who didn't disappear, the sister who didn't stay quiet, the one now saying this isn't the full story, not even close.
Things just got a whole load worse for Meghan Markle because her sister Samantha ain't going anywhere.
All Harry and Meghan need to do is prove to us that she popped those babies out. And that's all they need to do. And if they don't, it is unfair on the children. It's also unfair on the royal family.
And that's when everything started to unravel. Samantha didn't scream. She didn't explode. She did something far more dangerous. She asked people to look closer. And the internet, it didn't hesitate. Timelines were dissected. Dates were cross-checked. Tiny details that once seemed irrelevant suddenly became explosive clues. What once looked like a flawless royal image started cracking under pressure. And buried within those cracks, a question that wouldn't go away: what if the official story doesn't match reality? Rumors started surfacing. Quiet at first, then louder. Conversations about how Meghan and Prince Harry handled everything. Whispers about surrogacy. Questions about what was shown and what was never shown.
Everything she's done has only drawn more speculation and brought the controversies back up about how Meghan and Harry have handled all of this, as well as the rumors that perhaps they used a surrogate for one or both of the children.
Royal physician was not allowed to examine her womb. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but if I were pregnant with a royal child, you would want that child in the best care of the best medical practitioners that money could buy.
Suddenly, this wasn't a fairy tale anymore. It was something else entirely. Layered, complicated, and once you see those cracks, you can't unsee them.
Meghan, a geriatric mother. The family claims and states that Meghan had a hysterectomy. How can a woman with a hysterectomy be pregnant? And most of all, why did the royal family go along with this? And what's going to happen now that this has come out? This is a punishable crime. This is fraud in the highest level.
Because every royal story needs a villain, right? That's the script. That's how it works. But Samantha refused to play that role. She didn't fade into the background. She stepped forward with her version. Calm, controlled, and disturbingly consistent. She watched Meghan transform from cable TV actress to global duchess, rewriting her past into something smoother, cleaner, more powerful.
Today, Meghan's going to realize that she's obviously missing out on a really good, tight-knit family. I mean, we're all still together all the time, no matter what.
All of the pictures, my point is, out there were inconsistent with the idea of a real pregnancy.
To the public, it looked seamless, like destiny, like she was always meant to be there. But Samantha, she saw something else. Silence, distance, a past that didn't quite line up with the polished present. And for a long time, she stayed quiet. But silence has weight. It builds. It presses until it breaks.
I do believe because there are no delivery certificates.
Duchess of Sussex, no longer HRH, was safely delivered of a son, and she and her child are both doing well. So back to the tradition of putting out a framed bulletin or a gilded easel outside Buckingham Palace after royal births has been going on since 1837, so it's a cool tradition. And George, Charlotte, and Louis' easels listed the doctors' names with signatures, birth weight and time, and referenced the royal family. But Archie's notably only included mention of the Queen and the royal family in the wording, but not on the actual document, and then they omitted the signatures from the doctor's presence, unlike previous notice.
And when it finally did, everything shifted. Samantha didn't rant. She didn't accuse wildly. She dropped one simple line that detonated across the internet. Look at the timeline. That's it. And just like that, chaos. People started digging, comparing, analyzing. What once seemed like minor gaps suddenly felt massive. Questions about Meghan's 2018 pregnancy announcement surfaced. The timing, the details, or more importantly, the lack of them. No traditional hospital photos, no clear medical confirmations, no first-hand accounts like previous royal births. And then came the viral clips, the crouching video. People couldn't stop watching it. Some said it was nothing, fabric, angles, illusions. Others, they weren't so sure. And once doubt enters the conversation, it spreads fast. By 2021, when the second child entered the picture, the pattern, at least to critics, felt familiar. Limited details, delayed discussions, a level of privacy that didn't just protect, it concealed. And suddenly, Samantha's words weren't just noise anymore. They were fuel.
With either Archie or Lily, and it needs to happen. They need to prove that those children, Meghan and Harry, are not entitled to privacy in this matter. And their privacy is trumped by our right to know that no bastard is going to sit on the throne of this country.
But what is she not contextually aware? She's trying to hide something. This is really sloppy.
Because now it didn't feel random. It felt like a pattern, a puzzle. One people became obsessed with solving. And just when the focus seemed locked on the royal circle, something unexpected happened. A new name appeared out of nowhere. Dill, no background, no history, just 2 letters and a claim that hit like a shockwave.
Harry and Meghan they would refuse to kind of show him. They finally kind of showed him off in South Africa, and it was very much, kind of a display. And she went to the polo match, and again, people wondered because it's like she just didn't. It was a very stiff way she was holding him. It was just looked odd, and you looked at her and compared her to Kate, and you can't help the comparisons. And Kate is playing with baby Louis, and he's, kissing her, trying on sunglasses, and Meghan does not even look at Louis at all, and Louis looking at her.
The doctor has come forward and has absolutely revealed, and you're gonna listen to her. She has absolutely revealed and confirmed that Rachel Meghan Markle was never pregnant, never gave birth to any children.
Jill didn't describe herself as an outsider. She claimed involvement, direct involvement in something deeply personal. And suddenly, the conversation shifted from speculation to something far more intense. According to her, everything was handled in extreme secrecy. High-end medical facilities, controlled environments, names hidden, movements coordinated, records masked. It wasn't presented like gossip, it was presented like evidence. She described a system designed to leave no trace, a process so controlled it felt almost invisible. And her role, according to her, central yet erased. And then came the part that made people stop scrolling. She claimed she had proof, documents, records, ultrasounds labeled with coded identities, payment trails, dates that, according to her, aligned perfectly with public appearances. Not vague claims, specific, detailed, and dangerously convincing to those already questioning everything.
She said, I lost my father. We knew that she didn't lose our dad. She iced our father. In my opinion, she would still be a waitress if it wasn't for Dad.
And then the next holiday card we see, I believe it was the famous Lilibet's born, and here's little Archie. And that little kid who's Archie doesn't look anything like the little kid we've seen in the Harry and Meghan documentary on Netflix that we saw. I don't know who that kid was in the picture, or even Lilibet doesn't look like the picture that they've shown of her. Those kids didn't look the same.
Then came screenshots, messages, digital traces tied to initials instead of names, and claims of strict agreements designed to keep everyone silent. But something changed. According to DLL, during the second timeline, communication broke down, payments shifted, and that silence she was bound by, it shattered. And when she spoke, it spread like wildfire, faster than anyone expected. Hashtags exploded, debates ignited. People didn't just watch, they chose sides. And then she dropped the moment that changed everything. a direct challenge, a nut test, live, on television. Just like that, this wasn't just rumor anymore, it became confrontation. Because now the question wasn't just, is this true? It became, what if it is?
That it just really kind of boggles the mind. I mean, just for titles, for example. So when Archie was first born, they said they didn't want him to have a title. He was going to be a private citizen. I was like, bravo, you understand. He's not going to be a working member of the royal family. He is going to have to live a normal life, get a normal job. That is fantastic. And then it came out later in the Oprah Winfrey interview. Well, they denied him a title and security because he is a mixed race child. And then it was kind of like, and then later she kind of backtracked.
Like, why lie? It was just so truly bizarre.
Had those things, it would be very easy just to put them out there and say, this is what happened. You know, this is what it is.
The internet erupted, completely divided. Some called her brave, others called it absurd, but no one ignored it. And through all of this, Meghan and Harry, silent. No direct denial, no detailed response, nothing to shut it down. And that silence, it didn't calm the storm. It fed it, because when answers don't come, people create their own. And right when the noise reached its peak, Samantha stepped back in. Not louder, not angrier, just sharper. She quoted her father, "The truth doesn't fear questions." Simple, but devastating. Because now the conversation wasn't just about claims anymore, it was about something bigger. What is truth when narratives are controlled? And who decides which version the world believes? The story had shifted from gossip to something that felt dangerously close to exposure. And behind the scenes, whispers started growing. Because this wasn't just about family anymore. It was brushing up against something far more sensitive. Tradition, power, legacy. And the kind of truth that, if proven, doesn't just shake headlines, it shakes systems. Because now, this wasn't just about whispers on the internet anymore. It was about something far heavier, something that people rarely question out loud. What happens when a centuries-old system is forced to confront a modern reality it wasn't built to handle? The conversation shifted fast. Suddenly, people weren't just debating timelines or viral clips, they were talking about rules, royal rules, the kind that have defined power, lineage, and legitimacy for generations. And that's when things took a darker, more serious turn. Because if even a fraction of these claims were true or even partially accurate, it wouldn't just be a personal scandal. It would raise questions about the very foundation of how royal succession works. And that idea? Explosive. Because now the story wasn't just about Meghan Markle or Prince Harry anymore. It was about the structure itself. Behind closed doors, whispers grew louder. Legal minds, insiders, observers, everyone started asking the same thing. How would something like this even be handled? Could modern developments coexist with traditions written centuries ago? Or would those traditions bend or break? Public opinion split instantly. Some voices argued that the world has changed, that institutions must evolve. Others pushed back hard, insisting that lineage isn't something you reinterpret, it's something you protect. And just like that, the internet turned into a battlefield. Every hour without an official statement added fuel to the fire. Panels debated, comment sections turned chaotic. People analyzed everything: old photos, past interviews, timelines, searching for anything that could confirm or destroy the narrative. Supporters of the Sussexes called it a targeted attack, a witch hunt fueled by obsession. But skeptics weren't backing down. They kept pointing to the same thing: too many unanswered questions. And right in the center of this storm, Samantha Markle, unshaken. While everything around her spiraled, she stayed calm, controlled, almost surgical in how she spoke. No yelling, no chaos, just statements that landed and lingered. With every appearance, she didn't just defend her claims, she reinforced them. Slowly, steadily, like someone who wasn't trying to win attention, but waiting for the truth to catch up. And then she hinted at something that sent a chill through the conversation. She wasn't done, there was more. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet suggestion that there were still layers left untouched. And suddenly, everyone leaned in. Media pressure intensified. Reporters chased leads like never before. Legal experts began discussing privacy laws, defamation risks, and the possibility, just the possibility, that this situation could escalate into something far beyond public debate, because at this level, words have consequences. And still, no clear response from Meghan's side. To critics, that silence felt suspicious. To supporters, it felt strategic, a refusal to engage with speculation. But silence in a moment like this becomes its own statement. And then came a moment that cut through everything. A quiet studio, no chaos, no noise, just one question. Did she regret speaking out? Samantha paused, and then she said it. Only if the truth stops being the truth. That line line didn't just land, it detonated. Because now this wasn't about convincing people anymore. It was a challenge. Prove her wrong. And suddenly the pressure shifted. She spoke about memories that didn't align with the public narrative. Family moments that, according to her, never happened the way they were presented. Calls that were never returned. Relationships that faded but were rewritten as something else entirely. And the way she said it? Steady, direct, unapologetic, not emotional, not scattered, intentional. She made it clear this wasn't about attention. This was about a story she believed had been reshaped selectively. And then came her final line. History will remember who spoke the truth first. And just like that, it went viral. Because whether people believed her or not, one thing was undeniable. They were listening. The tension didn't fade after that. It tightened like a standoff. On one side, Meghan, quiet, controlled, stepping back from the noise. On the other, Samantha, leaning in, speaking more, hinting at even deeper revelations. And behind the scenes, something shifted. Public appearances became more calculated. Statements from royal sources felt, measured. Every word chosen carefully. Every move watched closely. Because this wasn't just noise anymore. It was pressure. Real pressure. And then came whispers that pushed the story even further. Legal action. Not confirmed, not official, but enough to spark another wave of speculation. Because if this moved into legal territory, everything would change. Evidence would matter, statements would be tested, and narratives, they wouldn't be enough anymore. Then finally, a response. Not direct, not confrontational. A carefully crafted message released through a close source connected to Meghan. Every word precise, every sentence controlled. It spoke of privacy, of dignity, of protecting family. But what it didn't do? Address the claims directly. And that omission? Louder than anything else. Supporters called it graceful. Critics called it evasive. And just like that, the divide grew even deeper. Samantha responded almost instantly, not louder, just sharper. She pointed out what wasn't said, suggested that avoiding specifics only raised more questions, and again, she hinted she was ready to go further. Now the story sits exactly where it's most dangerous. Unresolved, two sides, two completely different versions, and a truth that still feels just out of reach. Every silence, every statement, every subtle move keeps people watching closely, because this isn't over, not even close. The real question isn't just who's telling the truth. It's this: if the truth finally comes out, will it clarify everything, or will it tear the entire story apart even more? Because right now, one thing is certain. This isn't just a controversy anymore, it's a ticking moment. And whatever comes next could change everything.